Welcome at Pizza and More. Of course, there are lots of different original Italian pizza doughs. Each region has its own original Italian pizza dough. Yeah, I'm Jürgen and we make this time also an original Italian pizza dough. But our dough today will be a bit different from a traditional Neapolitan pizza dough, and therefore there is really only one traditional Neapolitan pizza dough. Yeah, for our pizza dough today we will use also olive oil. I know lots of you use in any case olive oil in your pizza doughs because the olive oil brings some nice structure to the dough. The olive oil has a fantastic taste and of course the olive oil is very healthy. We will make a direct dough with a total leavening time of 48 hours. Because we have a leavening time of 48 hours, I would strongly recommend to use a flour with a higher baking strength, which also means minimum 13% protein and round about 310, 320 or even higher a W value. Yeah, what says the W value? The W value tells us nothing else than over which period of time is the gluten structure stable. So the higher the W value, the longer the fermentation, the longer the leavening time could be before the gluten structure breaks again and we get no air anymore into the dough and the dough breaks when we stretch the pizza. We will make a hydration of 62%. This is not too high, which means everybody of you will be able to make this kind of dough and the dough normally should not stick. A Neapolitan pizza with a hydration of 62% is baked at 480 degrees Celsius, but we will make our pizza at around about 400 degrees Celsius. This 400 degrees tells us the pizza will remain longer in the oven and therefore the pizza will be far more crispy. And now I would say we start with the dough. Here we already have the ingredients we need for our pizza dough. This is a flour typo 00 with 14% protein. I have here 310 grams very cold water, which leads us then to a hydration of 62%, 15 grams of fine sea salt, 0.7 grams of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, please use 2.1 grams. And I have here 30 grams of olive oil. And by the way, it's not required to write all down because all the recipe is as always in the video description. And now the first we pour into our bowl is the water. And now directly followed from the olive oil. And yes, of course, in the past it was really always the case that we put at first the water into the machine or into the bowl. The reason is the water is always the same. 1 kilogram of water is 1 kilogram of water. Okay, the temperature plays a bit of a role, but the behavior of the water is always the same. What's not always the same is the behavior of the flour. So it was not always the same that the quality of the flour was in each year from flour to flour exactly the same, which means the flour and the water had a different relationship to each other. So it could be at one point that we need more flour or less flour for this amount of water. Therefore, they took the right amount of water and then they added flour, more flour, more flour, more flour until the right dough was created so that the right point for the dough was there and they had the right amount of water, the right amount of flour, and that's the reason why we normally start with the water. Then it is right now time for our flour. And of course we add directly the yeast. And now we start kneading for around 5 minutes. And now after the first 5 minutes we add the salt. We increase the speed of the machine if possible. And then we continue kneading for around 15 minutes so that we have a total kneading time of around 20 minutes. But simply we knead until we are able to make the window test. Yeah, after exactly 20 minutes, the dough seems to be ready. I already took out a piece of dough and now I try to make this windowpane test or window test. Therefore, I have a piece of dough and I stretch the dough now and I already can feel how nice this dough is, what a fantastic structure this dough has. And you can see how I can stretch this dough. So I already can look through this dough, which means the gluten structure is really fantastically built and I can take the dough now out of the machine. When we then have the dough in front of us on our counter, it's time to shape a nice dough ball. Therefore, we make several times the so-called stretch and fold or slap and fold. We take the dough, we lift the dough, we push it back onto the counter. Here we stretch it and then we fold it over. And we repeat this several times until we have here on top a very nice and fantastic surface. And you already can see how beautiful this looks like. If this is like this right now, we can turn the dough and we pull the dough and we don't roll it. We only go with the fingers under and then we pull the dough. If the dough sticks, you simply can use some olive oil, but normally it should not be required with this low hydration. And if we then have shaped a fantastic and nice dough ball, we take either a dough ball box or any other container and we place the dough inside of the container. Then of course it's very important to close the lid to protect our dough from drying out. Then we let the dough rest at room temperature for around 2 hours and then we put the box with the dough into the fridge for, let's say, 22 to 24 hours. Almost 24 hours ago I put the dough into the fridge. Now I took it directly out and we shape now the pizza balls. It's not really absolutely mandatory that you wait 24 hours before you shape your pizza balls, or if you wait 12 hours or maybe 36 hours. This is really absolutely not important. This is absolutely up to you how it fits the best to your schedule. However, I would recommend to have a bit of a bulk fermentation, several hours, because now we have the possibility and we bring new oxygen to our dough, and this new oxygen is beneficial for our yeast activity. Here you already can see our nice pizza dough. It looks really fantastic. We take it out and then we divide this dough into 3 pieces. I always use a kitchen scale because I want to have that each of those dough balls has exactly the same weight. If you won't have it in this way, then you also could simply divide it into 3 pieces and have roughly 3 identical pieces. Then normally I keep the side which was during the leavening on top, also now on top, because this side is already nice. I show you now one additional thing, how we can shape our dough balls. In each video I show how we can do it. This is now again one possibility. Turn it down so that we have the nice side already at the bottom, and then we pull here the dough and we fold it over, and then we can do this around the circle. And then you already can see the surface here of this dough looks already nice. If you have air bubbles, you can simply open them. It doesn't matter. And then Because we have to see that the ball is really nice, we do the same like we did with the big one. We pull this dough and we have a look that the dough does not roll around. I go here always with the fingers under to guarantee it's not rolling. And then if it's nice shaped, we turn it around and have to check that also the bottom is really closed properly. Otherwise there is the possibility the dough runs flat. And here I simply press the dough together so that it's closed. And then the dough ball is ready and comes into the box. If we then have 3 nice dough balls, it's again absolutely important to close the lid. Now we shape the 3 dough balls and we put them directly back into the fridge. And we let them there for around 20 hours. And round about 4 hours before we bake our pizza, and we remove them out of the fridge. In these 4 hours they have the possibility to get back to room temperature. The yeast gets a bit more temperature, it can work a bit better, and then we can bake afterwards a fantastic pizza. 4 hours ago I took the dough out of the fridge. Now the dough has the right temperature for making our pizza. Everything is again prepared, started from the tomato sauce to the semolina which we need for stretching the dough. The pizza oven is preheated already to 400 degrees Celsius, and now I would say we start with our Italian pizza. Here you can see already the dough balls, how fantastic they look like. For taking them out I use enough semolina. I put the semolina onto the pizza ball and then I release the pizza ball where it's attached to another pizza ball or to the side. And then when I lift it out, I'm really very gentle, because if I now stress the dough, it's impossible to stretch the pizza. Then I take the pizza ball into my hand. This is not sticking because I have enough semolina, and then I put the pizza ball into semolina. Then of course it's again important to close the lid so that the remaining pizza balls are not drying out. Then we flip this pizza ball in our semolina and we look that the whole pizza ball is covered by semolina so that it's not sticking to the counter. Then we check, is the pizza ball round? If not, we can shape it very gentle with the fingertips. And then we start pressing the air from the center towards the crust. Here I have the tomato sauce. These are San Marzano tomatoes tiered by hand, and for 400 grams tomatoes I added 4 grams of fine sea salt. You see, this is not a whole can of tomatoes because in my last pizza session there was some leftover tomatoes. I simply frozen them, and this is the reminder which I taught. As next, we add fresh grated Parmesan cheese or grana padano or even pecorino. As next, we add some leaves of fresh basil. However, my basil was again at the very cold window. I had the window open in the kitchen, and therefore the basil does not look like very nice anymore. Then as next, some mozzarella fior di latte. Then some olive oil. Now it's time for the pizza peel. Some semolina onto the peel. We lift the dough, push the peel under, and now we shape the pizza to its final size. And then it's time for the oven. And here comes our nice pizza already out of the oven. Listen. Have you heard? I hope you heard it. It's really absolutely fantastic. It's crispy. It's a very nice, delicious pizza. You can see also the bottom. It's perfectly cooked. Now, finally, some leaves of fresh basil, and these are really my last basil leaves. And then the nice pizza is ready, but I want to show you also the inside of the crust. And here you can see fantastic air pockets. And of course I have here now one piece of this fantastic pizza, and now I try. The base is really absolutely delicious. It's really fantastic, and now I will taste the crust. Maybe you heard when I bite into the crust, it's crispy, it's crunchy, and in the center soft. Really very delicious, especially with the olive oil in the pizza dough. It's really great. It's super delicious. If you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel. And then we see us also in the next video. Ciao.